Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishwaro Gururatmeti Murti Bhedu Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Gukarastvandhakaro Vai Rukarastvanivartakaha Andhakara Nirodhitvat Gururitya Vidhiyate Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So today I thought we would have a special class on Sivaratri, and my apologies for making a mistake on when the days are of the Sivaratri. I was just looking at the program at the Sanatana Dharma Kendra, because most probably I will try to go there for the Sivaratri. And in looking at their brochure, I just mindlessly copied the days. So they have a mistake, and I think that might be from last year, I don't know. But anyway, it's on Monday and not Thursday, the 28th of February, and then all night long through Tuesday morning, the 1st of March. So I thought that as we have been planning, that we will have a class devoted to an understanding of what Sivaratri means. We have never done that before, but based on certain passages and certain texts that I read from Swami Maheshananji, I thought I would share the information that I got from there. So let's go into it. So our Shastras say that we see two faces of Ishwara in our life. Depending upon where we are in the cycle of our understanding. Okay, the two faces of Ishvara are, to simplify it, it could be either carrots or sticks, something like that. But I think Swami Maheshananji made a very beautiful point. He said, sometimes what happens is that if you have a youngster who is really not going in the right direction, he or she has some bad habits and he gets into bad company and does some things that are not right, and the parents get mad at him and try to correct him. He hasn't done so yet. It continues to be going in the wrong direction, and they continue to be very disciplinary and try to punish him, and so on and so forth. Then one day, this youngster approaches his parents and said, I am very sorry. I have understood that I have made some bad choices, and I am not going to really do that again. I will try my best to change my course of my behavior, and I am extremely sorry for that. Please forgive me. So Swamiji says, when that happens, what do the parents do? Do they continue to punish him? They might keep an eye on him to say that he's sincere, whether he's sincere or not, but they don't punish him anymore. They say, okay, beta, we forgive you. Okay, all right. So now they have a friendly face towards the same person. The same thing is true in our life also. What we find is that if we misbehave in terms of not eating right, having some physical problems, then we get um, we get some pain, some suffering, and we refuse to really look at it in the right direction, right way, until it gets to be very painful, and we actually now we say, you know what, I have to treat this. This is not right. I am going in the wrong direction. And so you approach a doctor, and the doctor said, yes, I'm sorry to tell you that your condition is even worse than what you think. And it will probably continue to get a little worse because you had a long history of misbehavior of your body. But if you follow the following regimen, I am assuring you that this is a treatable disease and you will be okay. And you have my support, my blessings. Please free feel to visit me again. Let's have another test in 3 months. And now he becomes very friendly to you. So the disease, instead of being uncontrolled, troublesome, becomes manageable. And you really reverse the course and you're going in the right direction. So here is, and this actually, it is interesting, this is the essence of the book called Rudram, which I'm very sure I'm going to take in the next few months in great detail. We would look at examples and ways of changing our behavior and so on. And so we'll go into the detail, but the essence of Rudram is exactly this, that the same Rudra actually the word comes, Rodayati iti Rudraha, one who makes you cry and suffer is called Rudra. And the same Rudra becomes Shiva if you take refuge in Rudra. Refuge in the Rudra, and what do you mean by taking refuge? All of this we will study in some detail. Exactly the same thing is given in the Bhagavad Gita. So this is all very, very common in the way the Shastra is written. That the Sharanagati, the refuge in Ishvara, changes things tremendously. So we will go into that today in terms of the significance of Sivaratri. This is the background. I just want to start with that. So, Shankara is the name of Ishvara, who is the friendly face of Ishvara. Shankara can also be the destructive force, because the one that really removes things, Rudra or Shankara, who destroys things, is also one of the faces of Shankara. But the friendly face of Shankara, which is what we are going to study vis-a-vis the Sivaratri, that Shankara stems from a blessing towards us given by the name Shankara. So Shankara means Sham Karoti iti Shankaraha, the one that does Sham. Sham means Kalyanam, means Sukham, means peacefulness, resolution. It's called Sham. So the one that gives us joy is Shankara, that face of Shankara, no longer a Rudra, and one which is also called Shiva, Mangala Rupaha. So, so our mind has two facets. So one is amangala, one which is creating problems for myself through the various attitudes. And the same mind, when it is submitted and asked for help from Shiva, becomes Mangala Rupaha. So here Swami Maheshananji very nicely pointed out, I think it's, he says that Shiva is not only Mangala Rupaha, but also Mangala Sadhana Rupaha. Beautiful idea. You see what the difference is? The difference is that Mangala Rupa means that the very essence, the very nature of Shiva, which is the nature of the Atma, is Mangala Rupaha, Shankaraha. But more than that, since I am not there yet, in addition to Mangala Swarupaha, it is also Mangala Sadhana Rupaha. It tells you how to get to that point. What is the path to it? And so both the sadhya as well as sadhana are included in the word Shankaraha, Shivaha. All right. Let's go further, step by step, towards the significance of Sivaratri. Okay? Consider the following. And this is really, I think we have all talked about it in our classes, and I continue to draw your attention to the importance of this. This is where the deep sleep needs to be really studied in our mind. And so now let us look at the word out of Sivaratri, Ratri. So a Ratri means a night of Shiva. Sivaratri means the night of the Shiva. What does it mean by a night of the Shiva? This is what we have to explore. So let's look at the word Ratri first. So the word Ratri itself is composed of Ra and Tri. There's a beautiful part about our Samskriti, our culture, the Sanatana Dharma, the Vedanta. Everything is precisely defined in the words. You take the word night. Now, what does night mean? I'm not sure that we can ever have been. There may have some real meaning to the word night. But in Sanskritam, the word night means Ratri, which has a lot of significance. Everything, all these words that we are going to study have a lot of etymological significance. The essence of the word is already contained in the verb. Ratri. Ra means Sukham, Mangalam. And Tri means the one that gets you to Sukham. So here we need to see this is not just theoretical, academic. This is what our life is. Study this. No matter what your and my problems are in our waking state, the moment night comes, it is wiped out of our slate for a while. So, Swami Maheshananji had pointed out, let's look at this. There is a big difference between shutting your eyes and sleeping. Just observe this beautiful way of examining. Shutting your eyes is denial. Is denial. Means that you have some problems, and supposing somebody, this is what happens sometimes if you're not helpful. Supposing somebody falls down and has, supposing you have an accident, do you just ignore it? You shut your eyes to it. It says, I don't want to get involved. This happens to all of us. We all have good excuses. Oh, I'm too busy, or other people are going to help, or whatever. So you shut your eyes to it. You know it's happening. And there is some suffering, but you close your eyes to it. This is closing the eyes. Sleep is an amazing phenomenon. Sleep means no matter what the problems are going to be, no matter how severe the problems are, for a while it does not even touch you. You are actually Shivam, Sukham. This is the significance of Ratri. So the night is a very important and significant part of our life. In the morning we are out there running around, fighting this, that, or the other. But once the sleep comes, it's just amazing. We have a friend, I think I've told you this, who is in hospice, his last days of his life, really suffering during the day. And really the only time, even in his last few days of work, he's able to sleep at night. The fact that his life is ending is removed from him. He is already gone and has the same state as you and I do, who are not in that bad a state. Ratri is the same for everybody. This is the importance of Ratri. Okay? And so in some ways, as we will see and as we proceed further, this Ratri, this Sushupti, the deep sleep, could be called and should be called, and it is called Shivalinga. We are going to study Shivalinga as part of Sivaratri in a minute. But Ratri itself the Sushupti itself is a Shivalinga. How do you mean by Shivalinga? Linga means Lingyate anena iti lingaha. Jnayate anena iti lingaha. The one that makes you see, makes you understand the beauty of Shiva is called Shivalinga. So a strong hint is called Lingam. And the strong hint of Shiva is called Shivalinga. Ratri is a Shivalinga. How? Because it gives us a personal experience of freedom. Some of the conditions of the emergence of knowledge are missing, but it gives you a taste of it. Taste of it. I think that's a good way to look at it. Just like, for example, you have your children or grandchildren with you, and you took them out for lunch, and then you want to give them ice cream. Tin Pot. There's a Tin Pot ice cream shop in Los Altos. Oh my God. Gone are the days, I remember, where scoops were 35 cents, 50 cents, maybe then became $1. I don't know. In this, some of these traditional you go to Tin Pot, and these ice creams are now minimum of $4 or $5 for a small scoop. So the children are enjoying it and so on, and we've had enough ice creams in our life, but we are somewhat tempted. So what we say is, can you give us a little taste? So that little taste of ice cream that gives you, oh, this is chocolate, and so your kids are having chocolate, and you just want to see what the taste is. You haven't had the full thing, but just a taste. So the Ratri is like a taste, a real taste. It's not as though it's a false copy of the chocolate. It is a real same chocolate, but just for a short time. This is what Ratri is. It's a very important thing for us to see. Okay, now we see. I hope my pages are, yeah, my pages are okay. We see that on certain Ratris, so anyway, another thing is that Sivaratri, now we have seen Ratri, now let's add the word Shiva to it. Sivaratri means that kind of Ratri which is very dear to Shiva. And the Shiva is extremely giving to you on those nights. Really speaking, the Shiva is giving to you and I on all nights. And we're going to study how there is Shivaratri throughout the year, and once a year it is Mahashivaratri. So it's not as though it is not there at all, but the degree varies. So a Ratri in which you sleep is okay, and you do it under the blessing of Shiva alone, because no Ratri, no sleep is without the blessing of Shiva. So it's not as though Shiva is not involved, but there are some days some nights actually, not days but nights, day in the sense of 24 hours, where the Shiva is specially pleased by giving you a blessing on that night. Mahesharanji says it's something like, supposing you have a rich man, a very, very rich person who really can give out his donations very, and this is done in India. So what happens is that sometimes a very rich person will say, on such and such day, it could be a significant day of the birthday of his mother or father or himself or his children or whatever. He chooses a day. On that day, whoever asks for some help, he gives it freely. So he first of all takes a day off, doesn't go to office. And I think that, he cannot just broadcast it to the whole country because he won't be able to cope up with all the... But he knows that people know that on this day, if you come out with a reasonable request, I will try to fulfill it. And so Swami Maheshananji says, I've seen so many rich people that have done a sankalpa, that on such and such day, I will be specially helpful to others. And similarly, Shivaratri is one of those. So that's very interesting. What Swamiji says in this explanation of this point is, Shiva knows that you are wandering around in your life, doing things, getting involved with issues, problems, and so on, and you are looking for various things, but not Shiva. You're not really focused on Shiva. We are focused on how to get to to India without quarantine. We are focused on, there's a new restaurant that is open, we must try it. We are focused on, my grandson needs some babysitting help and I need to provide. This is the kind of things that we are really involved in on everyday basis. We are not looking for Shiva. So this is the situation. On all the days, this rich man knows that I cannot help everybody because you are busy with a lot of things. Even if I have the time, you don't have the time. But on focused days, I'm open for help. I'm open for help on all days, but on this day, my checkbook is open and I'm sitting there with my hands and listening to you and say, yes, what do you want? And I'd like to help you. And so this is the Sankalpa of Shiva on Sivaratri. Okay? Now comes the fun part. You know, the 12 months of the year, again going back to the fact that in Sanatana Dharma and our Samskriti, the names, the words have a lot of meaning. They are not just picked without any meaning. So for example, if you look at the 12 months in the Gregorian calendar, January, February, March, etc., etc., etc. Do these words have any meaning? We don't know, but we don't think so. They are this is what is called, in the words in any words in any language, we know that there are two ways of having words. One is what is called Rudhyartha. Rudhyartha, and the other one is etymological artha. This is so Rudhyartha means conventional meaning. You said a convention. You just say a convention. Okay, let's everybody call the first month of the year January, and this is how we spell it. You may want to change slightly if you in your language and so on. So is that okay? Everybody says okay. So we say this is January, February, March, and so on. So this is one meaning, which is called Rudhyartha. The other one is called etymological, which is called Vyutpatti Artha. Vyutpatti Artha means that it is not a random word, but a word that has some meaning to it. So in our Hindu calendar, the names of the month have meanings. So we will, I am not that familiar with it, so I had to look it up from one of the, I just went to Google. I mean, I'm somewhat familiar with it, but not as I should be. So the 12 names are Chaitra, Vaishakha, Jaishtha, Asadha, Shravana, Bhadra or Bhadra, Ashwina, Kartika, Agrahayana, Pausha, Magha, and Phalguna. Strange sounding names. They have a lot of meaning. And we are now going to look at the significance of Sivaratri in the form of the significance of the names of the month. Okay? So we will do that in just 1 second. So now, another thing. So Ishwara has two forms. You and I, everyone has two forms. Not just Ishwara, but the whole cosmos has two forms. One is Vyakta and the other one is Avyakta. Vyakta means which is visible, and Avyakta means which is not visible. This is true for each one of us. So, Atma is never visible. As we've been studying, you should be very familiar with that. Atma is never visible. It is never happening. Anatma, which is also my expression in life, is visible. It is happening. So, as we have seen it in various ways, Atma is the Bimba, is the original, and the Vyakta is the Pratibimba, the copy in the mirror. It's the same person. They're not two people. But one has an Avyakta form and the one is the Vyakta form. So if you go to a temple, for example, you will see Shiva as with the Ashtamurti. Our Dakshinamurti also will have all the Ashtamurti, the sun, the moon, the conch, and so representing all the Panchamahabhutas. In fact, Ashtamurti has eight things to it. So 7 of them are Vyakta. In fact, you can say even all 8 of them are Vyakta. So how are they? The Panchamahabhutas, Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apaha, and Prithvi. Surya and Chandrama, and the person looking at it also is a jiva. These are the 8 forms of Vyakta Shiva. Avyakta Shiva is one which is the Sakshi for all these 8. So this is the 2 forms of Shiva, Vyakta and Avyakta. Okay? And so you can do puja only in the Vyakta. Avyakta you have to understand, but the Vyakta you could do puja. You can do some Kaika puja, Manasika puja, etc. There is a third thing in between which is significant in Shivalinga. In Sivaratri, not Shivalinga. Shivalinga is what I'm getting to. Which is important in the Sivaratri, which is Shivalinga. Shivalinga is a very important thing because you may have certain Ishta Devata that you really have your own personal God that you pray to. Could be Ganesha, could be Krishna, could be Saraswati, could be Devi, could be Sharada Devi, could be Durga Devi, anyone. You may have that, and those are the ones that you go to. When you go to a particular temple, generally speaking, you have a favorite Devata that you pray to. Okay? Shivalinga allows you. Okay, now before I go to Shivalinga, Sivaratri allows anyone to pray on that day even if you don't have an Ishta Devata. Anyone. And the Shivalinga is the vehicle for you to do so. So this is called in between Vyakta and Avyakta. It is somewhere in between. It's called Shivalinga. How? It has some kind of a form. in the form of a very beautiful stone. It has a form. So it's not completely formless, but it allows a person to superimpose their favorite devata on top of it. And that is manasika. This is your mental. You please think about Vishnu, Shiva, Krishna, Rama, Mahesha, Vasudeva, anyone that you can think of on that Shivalinga. So the Shivalinga allows you to have a refuge to Shiva in the form that you like, or you can just say Avyakta, which is the Atma, which is the Paramatma. You can do that as well. Okay? Okay. Now, there is a sentence. So now let's go further. There's a sentence which says, Shivam tu pujayitva yo jagarti chaturdashim vyakta avyaktam apnoti. I believe this is ascribed to, if my memory serves me right, to Vashishta, the teacher of Rama. I mean, even now, and if you know, in Rishikesh there is a Vashishta Guha. There is a cave in which the Vashishta used to stay. It's called Vashishta Guha. Anyway, this sentence is ascribed to Vashishta, which says, Shivam tu pujayitva yo jagarti chaturdashim vyakta avyaktam apnoti. Let us see the significance of this in the going to tilt this so I am aware of the time, 8:36. All right, now let's go to Sivaratri. Sivaratri is celebrated on the 14th day of the no moon day. So as you know, there is a Krishna Paksha where it is dark night all the way up to full night, and then going back again from full night to dark night. So this is the lunar cycle, right? So the 14th day of the dark segment is called Chaturdashi Amavasya. That's the name given. Chaturdashi, 14th day. Chaturdashi means 14th of Amavasya. Amavasya, Swami Maheshananji says, consists of Ama and Vasya. Ama means together. Vasya means living together. Becoming one is called Amavasya. So on Amavasya, the sun and the moon become one. There is no separation between them. This stands for the following. The sun stands for the Atma, and the moon stands for the mind. And the mind retains a separate identity from the Atma normally, even though it has the capability of merging and will merge. with the Atma. And in fact, it disappears in the Ratri. But it does not consciously merge with the Atma. This is an important thing which really we will end with this. So this is a very, in fact, if you look at Vasishta's verse here, Shivam tu pujayitva yo jagarti. The one who is awake to the union between Atma and Atma and the mind, apnoti, vyakta avyakta apnoti means that it completely understands that there is real no difference between vyakta and avyakta. So there is no difference between water and the wave. The wave is, in that sense, the water is also vyakta in that example. But suppose the water is avyakta. Only the form is vyakta. Then one who understands the karya karana bhava, the cause and effect relationship, that I am in fact always avyakta, even though I look like I'm avyakta. This is the issue we have in our life. I'm only dealing with my jivatvam. I criticize myself, I feel good about myself. All the time the Atma is undisturbed. And as we understand finally through the awakening process that, my gosh, I'm worried about my vyakta position unnecessarily, exactly like in a dream. You're worried in the dream, worried. It happens to all of us. I feel so funny sometimes that in the dream you're worried about yourself and so on, and the whole thing disappears. No worry, no nothing. So that awakening process is started on Chaturdashi. So the 14th day signifies the attitude of going towards the union with all my paraphernalia. Why the 14th day? Because on the 14th day, all my paraphernalia is now focused on towards Shiva. What are the 14 elements of paraphernalia? 5 organs of sense organs, 5 organs of action. Then you have the 4 antakarana, manaha, buddhi, chittam and ahankara. Altogether 14. Everyone is focused on the Shiva. When will it be focused on the Shiva? Now comes the ending piece of Sivaratri. So please listen to this very structured, logical way where the importance of Sivaratri is given. And I've already recounted to you all the names of the month. And we are going to reverse it starting with when Mahashivaratri is celebrated and the preparation required the rest of the year to come to Mahashivaratri. Okay? All right. The last month of the Vedic lunar year is called Phalguna. And Phalguna, it begins on around February 20th, okay, and ends on March 21st, okay, and on that month, Phalguna, is Mahashivaratri. is the Mahashivaratri. The question is, why in Phalguna? So listen to this now. The word Phalguna stems from the word Phalgu. Phalgu means useless, not worth considering, has no substance to it. Very much like the dream, things in the dream. They may have some significance because they let off certain steam in your mind. It allows the subconscious mind, but it has no other really significance. This is why, for example, if your spouse or somebody just says, "Can I tell you my dream?" Internally you says, "I'm very busy." "Okay, all right, tell me." You are just being a little polite, but you're not interested because it is useless. So what you dreamt, that's gone. This is called Phalgu. So Phalguna month, and looking at Sivaratri on that month means you have arrived at an understanding that the world around you is useless. Nothing is tugging at you. You don't have, this is exactly the existence of the Jivan Mukta. The Jivan Mukta this is just like playing rummy or some card game where it has no significance. The world is there and you deal with it, but it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Supposing you are playing cards with your friends and suddenly somebody has a phone call and you're deep into it and you are, playing poker or whatever it is, and all of a sudden somebody says, "I'm sorry, I've got to go." How mad can you get at that person? But okay, that doesn't matter. You fold up all the cards and say, "We'll play it the next day." So something like that. This is called Phalguna. It's got Phalguna. Okay, now we're working backwards from Phalguna. So the next one is called Magha. So Magha means, so there is Sivaratri in each one of them. This is the 14th day of the Amavasya for each one of them. So the one backwards, so now going backwards is the preparation for Phalguna. When will you, under what condition will you reject the mind, reject the world as useless? This will happen. This is actually what our objective should be in life. We're going to take life again and again until we figure out that it doesn't matter anymore. We are able to gain independence from it, and not denial, by the way. Not the denial, but an acceptance of the fact that it really doesn't mean much to me. I'm okay with it. So whatever your part of the karma is, you just fulfill it, but you don't have any personal agenda. Must be done. This is called Phalguna. To get prepared for this, what are the conditions? So all the other months of the year prepare you for Phalguna. The previous month to that is Magha. So Magha begins on January 21st, goes up to February 20th. Magha means agaha. Agaha means wrong actions, papa. Wrong actions. So your tendency to lie or cheat, wrong. Those have to be given up. So you cannot do this until your tendency for Magha is gone. Okay? Then let's go further. The one that begins on December 22nd goes up to January 20th is called Pausha. Pausha means Poshana, an understanding of how the wrong actions hurt me. So to a complete submission of karma and karma phala, that there is nothing chance about it. Ishvara's, whatever is happening to me, as we have studied it before, I don't want to keep repeating it, whatever is happening to me has passed through the hands of Ishvara and he's okayed it. That kind of a shraddha towards karma phala comes from poshana. So that is a pausha. Because you and I will never get rid of our wrong actions until we are convinced that sooner or later I will have to pay for it. So I might as well not do it. This is called pausha. Then the next one then has a couple of different names. It's case agrahayana, also called margashirsha. So margashirsha means that this understanding of pausha and therefore of magha and therefore of phalguna, it's all connected, will not happen until I use my buddhi. Ishvara is hiding inside me, and the most important presence of Ishvara is my making the right decisions at the right time, of being a viveki, of using my ability to think. This is called margadarshan. So what is the right thing for me to do? What should I not do? All of that is called agrahayana. So that's the name of the month. The one before that is Kartika. So the Kartika here defines, I'm not giving you all of the details, even I don't know all the details, just giving you the sense of it. Kartika means the ability to translate into action. Not just thinking, but to really close the gap between what needs to be thought, what needs to be done, what needs to be spoken. So a practical use of the knowledge is the preparation for all the latter parts, and that is given in Kartika. Before that is Ashwina. Ashwina begins September 23rd, goes up to October 22nd. This word Ashwina comes from almost like the start of the Viveka of Atma and Anatma. So Ashwina comes from the word A plus Shva. Shva means tomorrow. Ashwa means not tomorrow. So this means an understanding that the world is transitory. This is a very important thinking. Many of our life's problems, I would say most of our life's problems, are associated with my attitude that what I see is Satyam. It's here to stay. And it is true that there is a certain amount of significance of food and family and education which is stable. But even then it is changing completely. What happens all of a sudden can just disappear on you. I know someone who had a very stable married life, and one day his wife walked out on him. He kept on waiting for her to come back and said, "Where are you? What happened?" She says, "I'm sorry, I'm divorcing you." So even the stability of life itself is basically unstable. It is a miracle that it is hanging together somehow or the other. This is the meaning of Ashwa. Ashwa means unreliable. You cannot say this will be here tomorrow. That my house will be there tomorrow. It may not be there next minute. It may have a big earthquake. I may not be there. I'll be there somewhere or the other. Atma cannot disappear. But all the anatmas is Ashwa. So this month called Ashvina stems from the real thinking. And my God, I'm dealing with, we will study this more. I think I like this word, Gandharva Nagari. In the old example is called Gandharva Nagari. Gandharva Nagari was the shapes of the clouds that look like cities. So somebody is saying, look, there is, see that mountain is moving here and so on. It's a moving part, but just given some kind of a form. This is what our life is. It's a Gandharva Nagari. The whole Maya is nothing but a Gandharva Nagari. And that is signified with the words Ashwini. So Ashwini is the month which allows you to have the viveka between Atma and Anatma. So that is the Ashwini. Before that is Bhadra. So Bhadrapada or Bhadrapada is where you decide to, and this is an earlier form of Maugha, where you decide to go in the right direction in life. So Maugha would mean complete cessation of all papa, but here at least the direction should be the right one in life. So this is called Bhadra. And I'm just going to go one more month. I'm not quite sure about the first 3 or 4. That was not discussed in this article, and I have to really read up to see exactly what it is. So now the next one and the last one is called Shravana. Now the Shravana begins on July 23 for a month. So this is a very important thing because Shravana means, just like the word Shravanam, Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. Shravanam means listening. So Shravana means an attitude of the mind, because really all we are talking about is the attitude of the mind. Phalguna, Magha, Pausha. And so every month is a reminder that this kind of an attitude will take you to moksha. It's like a program, a 1-year program. You repeat it. And by the way, if you don't get there, which is not easy, you have the next year to go through. Next year to go through. Very much like agriculture. You are growing some crops and you go through all the 4 seasons and then you decide, oh, oops, this year I didn't put enough fertilizer or I didn't water my lawn and vegetables enough. That mistake can be corrected next year. So there is an opportunity. So this is how the repetition of the year is. But Shravana means listening to the right voices that show you this is the direction you should go. This is the direction. It's called Shravana. Okay? So this is a tour of the significance of the 14th day of Amavasya in each month, followed by the most important month where you have now succeeded at least partially to see that the world is not helpful to you. You are independent of, you don't need any help. You are good by yourself. But that understanding that the world is not that useful to you is the objective for us. And if you have that attitude, even partially, when you are doing the puja on Shiva, for Shiva, at the Sivaratri, Shiva's blessing to you will be that much more powerful. That is the structure of Sivaratri. Okay? So a couple of things, and then I think we will wind it up. So in two things are talked about in the Sivaratri, of the observance of Sivaratri, that should be kept in mind. One of them is keeping a fast, vratam, also called Upavasa. And the other one is staying awake in the night, Jagaranam. You must have heard this, that you should, if possible, stay awake for a good part of the night. Jagarana, Jagarti. Right? So these are the two things. Let's look into both of them. What is Vratam and what is Jagaranam? And what is the importance of it? Why are we talking about it? Understanding the nature of it. Okay. Let's take Vratam. Vratam is also called Upavasa. So Vratam means keeping a fast on Sivaratri. And there are various options available to you depending on what you can tolerate, what your health is, your age, and all of that I think you have to do. But the very attempt to do a fasting is very useful. Why? Okay. So the vratam is called Upavasa. Again, this is an etymological meaning, Vyutpatyartha. Actually, the word vratam also is Vyutpatti. Vratam means is sankalpa. I will do this. Denying a normal way of doing things because of my discipline is the essence of vrata. And all vratas are beneficial. Why? Because it allows you to have a certain control over your own mind. Because normally you don't think, okay, I'm just going to have the same food and so on and so forth, and we normally overeat. We don't need to eat that much. All of that we know. But vrata means that I will deny myself in various ways. Either I'll just have fruit during the day, or just have liquids, no solids. Some people avoid grains, all different kinds of things. So vratam is different way. The name of vratam is called Upavasa, which is very important. Upavasa means it consists of the two words upa and vasa. So vasa means staying, and upa means close. So for example, in the word Upanishad, so as you know, the word Upanishad means upa, means getting close to the Atma. The study of the Atma is the Upanishad. And Nishchaya means, the ni of the Upanishad means ascertainment. A close ascertainment of the Atma, and then the Saddhatu is there. I'm not going to go into Upanishad. But the word Upa is an important one because Upa also means closeness. Like Swami Maheshanji pointed out, that in India, the vice president of the country is called Uparashtrapati. Uparashtrapati. So why does it say Uparashtrapati? Rashtrapati means a president. Rashtrasya patihiti Rashtrapati. And Upa means what? Upa means one who is close to that person, who is a substitute in case something goes wrong, in values and in thinking and in his attitudes. He is the same as the Rashtrapati. Upamantri. Upamantri means assistant mantri. So the word upa means close. Here, upavasa means being close to Shiva. And so, Swami Maheshanji says that a fast doesn't mean that it's not like dieting. And it's not really painful denial either. It is a certain degree of denial, but the denial is to accentuate your focus on Shiva. During that time, doing your chanting and your puja and so on and so forth, you will be focused on Shiva, not food. You're not thinking of, okay, what's for dinner tonight? You should not be thinking about that. You should be thinking purely on the nature of Shiva. How is he different from you? Why is he not different from you? All of those kinds of things. And in all the Sivaratris, there used to be for several years, I don't know how many, probably at least 10 or 12 years, especially after I retired in the year 2000. I would go to India on Sivaratri day. I'll just make it a point. And I had certain agendas because my mother and my father at one time, but I think then my father had passed away, so I would actually go see my mom also. but then take a leave of her for 1 week to stay with Swamiji, especially during Sivaratri. And so I ended up spending Sivaratri in many of those days in Rishikesh, some of the days in the Anaikatti ashram. And was very pleasant because that's the day when he would give Diksha. He would make Swamis out of people. So that was so much fun to see, oh, you became a Swami, you became a Swami. And so that was a wonderful thing. During Shivaratri on that day, we had a special program which will begin in the morning, as it is in the, I was looking at this program at Sanatana Dharma also, so they do have morning pujas starting at 6 a.m. And then the Mahashivratri, there is pujas that start at 6 o'clock in the evening and goes up to 9, and then later also. So there's some program. I'll have to find out exactly. I'll be there for some time. I don't know for how long. But in any way, in our Shivaratri, we will have the morning session starting in the Rishikesh. Then from morning to evening, there will be a continuous chanting of Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Without any break. Not a second of break. And so we will have a list of people that would sign up. And so there will be one person who would sign up for 15 minutes. And you will be leading the chanting of Om Namah Shivaya for those 15 minutes. If other people can join you, fine, but at least you will do so. And then at the end of the 15 minutes, the next person will raise the hand and will now chant. And so sometimes you will take a break and you come back to it. So this used to be our thing. So it was continuous chanting. Means at that time, and I don't remember, but I think that many of us would keep a fast. Perhaps we might, have a light lunch or light breakfast or something. But the focus was not on food, but on Shiva. So this is the meaning of Vratam or Upavasa. Then at the very last thing I can say, what is the meaning of Jagaranam? So Jagaranam is very important, really speaking. What is the significance of Jagaranam? So the significance of Jagaranam is that when I have a deep sleep, I no doubt have the experience of Shiva, Sukham, as we talked about earlier. But I am not aware of it. I'm oblivious of it. Only later on when I wake up, if somebody asks, how did you sleep? And hopefully I slept well, I can say I slept well. What did you see? I didn't see anything, but I slept well. Were you happy? Yes, I was happy. So at that time you are not awake to the fact that you are Shiva. Jagaranam means, so this is the symbology of staying awake during Sivaratri. And whatever you do some chanting, you have some music, you do some, pujas, whatever it is, but you are awake at night time to celebrate the possibility that at some point in time you will be awake to your own silence, to your own independence, to your own swatasiddhatvam, your you are independent of the world. You are self-existing. You are anadi. And you are a sakshi. You are awake to it without any doubts. You are awake to it. This is what is called nirvikalpa samadhi. So therefore, the second important thing during Sivaratri, the first one is Vratam, Upavasa, and the second one is Jagarana. This, my friends, is all I know about the importance of Sivaratri. So with that, I hope there is a little bit of light towards what it is, and I hope all you, with prayers and blessings, that you have a good Sivaratri now and in the future. Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. So nice that all of you could join. Wonderful. I don't think you have any questions or doubts based on our class today. But if you do, then do write to me. And with that, I wish you all a enjoyable and useful and wonderful Sivaratri. Hari Om.